Well, folks, I've been. I don't get on here a lot. Just usually when I have something that I want to maybe help somebody. And this comes to your instrument control panel or whatever they want to call them, your dash. Anyways, I've run into this a few times. Large trucks, cars, medium sized trucks, it doesn't really matter. But you got your panel, okay? And you'd be driving down the road, and all of a sudden, I'm not talking about just a single, you know, thing, a speedometer or tack or fuel gauge just going walkers. I'm talking about like the dash will totally reset. Everything will go. All the this will go. They'll totally reset all of them and come back, and then your dash will relight. All the lights will relight and just resets. And some people say, well, that's the solder joints. Well, I mean, it could be. I mean, I've had some that were some solder joints, like these little solder points here. But what I've found a lot of times, the connector that goes on here, that plugs in, let's see if we can set this down a little. The connector that plugs in here, what I have found is, I don't know, when it gets put in, it doesn't get put in, straight in. It might be sitting off at an angle one way or another, just didn't get plugged in all the way. Or maybe over time it just jiggles and rattles and stuff, and things come loose. That'd be the first place I started. Then I'd get a magnifying glass, a good one, and I'd look at the the soldering joints and stuff, pins and that. I'd see if anything looks black or looks loose. Kind of looks like it's got hot. But these pins right here, okay, these pins. The connector that goes on that, you want to get something that is the same size or damn near the same size. The reason I'm showing you these is if you look at them, they're not the same size. This is fine for some things, but for that, it's a little big. This is out of what the hell is that? A Pico or set or something for testing stuff. And the reason I bring that up is you have these on the back side that plug into those. And what you want is something that just slides in nicely. Watch me stab myself. I can have a good laugh. But you want something that just slides in nicely, and has a little resistance to it. You don't want it to fall off. So you want something that goes in nicely, So, but this is a little big. See, if I go to forcing that in there, if I go to force that in there, it's going to spread. It's going to spread that too far. I don't know which way you can see it best, if you can even see it at all. But what ends up happening, you stick one of these in there to see the pin tension, and it spreads it, makes it too big. You created a problem. You get something that's about the same size as the pins on there. Well, if you slide it in, and it just slides in real easy, and there's like no tension, very little tension, it's like that could be your problem. You see, the car drives down the road, and somebody put the clip in at an angle, or didn't get it in right, and it sat there and it just jiggled going down the road, and then eventually it over the years, heat and not being on there right and such can cause this thing to spread out, lose tension. And then you have to get yourself one of these deals, it's got a bunch of things. You stick it in there, and you can pop these out, and then you can get a little small needle nose plier and just kind of crimp them, just crimp them back. And make it so it gets tension again. And then when you slide this in, you can feel some tension in it. And then it's like, oh, okay. It'll stay and not fall out. If it falls out, there's not enough tension. If it stays, it's okay. But like I said, you can't sit here and just shove this in there and expand it too much, and you created the problem. So you go through and you test each one of these, mark the ones that don't have enough tension, and then go back, pop them out, give them a little squeeze with the needle nose or something, or just if you can order new ones, you can cut them and put new ones in. And the reason I bring this up is, a lot of times they say, check the grounds, check the positives and the negatives and all that, and they got you chasing through the whole car, ripping stuff apart, chasing this down. And sometimes it is. But what I've been finding here is I just had a car do this again to me. It was a Buick. And, of course, I did all the stuff, check the grounds, check this, check that, pulled the thing apart. Then I tested the plug-in. 8 of those were loose, and it would just slide in. No tension. I tightened them up, put it back together. I've not had problems with it since. It's an easy thing. But just make sure you get the right size of pin, probe, pin, whatever, so you don't expand it too much and create a problem. And I hope I made sense to you, because it's a lot of pain in the ass to screw around with. I mean, and they'll say, solder, get your solder joints, get your, resolder things. And then sometimes it does. I've had some stuff, but it was usually on a heavier truck, larger, like medium size, Internationals when it was on. And I did have to solder some some capacitors, whatever. But when you do, make sure you get some small solder, something small that melts quick and easy. And make sure you get a good soldering gun or iron or whatever you want to use. It gets up to temp good and quick. And when you touch it on there, just boom, it melts. You know, you're sitting there and you know what I'm talking about. You're sitting there with those cheap ones and you're like, come on, melt, melt, melt. You know, you're sitting there playing with it. And it's like, man, this sucks. Keep the chip clean on this, and I'll tell you what, you can tell it's been hot. But that's what I'm saying. You want something hot that you can just, tap her like so, and boom, you solder the joint, or just stick it down into the, I don't know how well this is going to work. But if you, touch it onto, one of those, it melts it. I mean, just like pretty much instantaneous. You hit it and just, and then when you let off, it could, you might not even need this. I've done that. I went in and I've taken, stuff like this, and I get on there and I kind of try to wiggle it. Man, I don't see it wiggle. Some I've seen wiggle. And I've just taken the iron, just touched it on there, melted the solder real quick, and it hardened back up, and that was it. I didn't even have to add any. So, the only reason, I got here to make this is because when you're chasing stuff like this down, everybody that's done it knows it's a pain in the butt. And a lot of people have you running off in this direction and that direction and so on and so forth. And I'm not saying they're wrong. They could be right. But when you got the thing apart, and you already have it apart, you got the instrument cluster out, check it. Real simple. Check to see how tight the connector is. That's all you got to do. Is just if it's loose and it wants to fall out, and you got to tighten it up. If it still holds tension and you can feel it when you push it in or pulling it out, it's probably fine. That's all I really got to say about this. I hope it helps somebody. And really, that would go for a lot of other things, too, just besides the cluster. A lot of things that plug in. If you're having... Because the problem is we chase ghosts a lot. Intermittent things. And we're chasing it. And we're chasing our tails. And it's like if the damn thing would just go out. But something like that, it gets resets the dash, and you're like, okay, power, ground, power, positive, something like that happen, something just, or is it in the dash itself? You send the dash out, they look at it and everything and say, well, that dash checked out okay. Or they might find a problem or two, and then you put it back together, and it's like you're still having some trouble. Well, you got a lot of other things to check, but you already have the dash out. And once you have it out, go ahead and do a simple check on the tension on the connectors. Well, folks, that's really all I got to say. I got nothing else, really. I got a fly right here, and I'm going to see if I can get him. Dirty bastards. So anyways, I hope you and wish you the best on your projects. If you're like me, a lot of times you break more shit than you actually fix because it's all rusty, falling apart anyways. So it's like, yeah, you gotta take it all apart and break stuff and fix that. And then when it's all done, it's almost like new. But you know what I'm talking about. Y'all take care now.